What's up, everybody? Clip it a little bit there. You know what time it is. Oh, yeah. NGNWR time. Your excellent host, the brand. This fine evening. What was that? How does that even skip? That's an MP3 track. I don't know what's going on. You never know. But we're going to talk some wrestling, of course, for y'all. Welcome to the show. All right, everybody, welcome once again. The brand here on No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling Radio here. Long freaking title, but you know what? I like it, so I guess we'll run with it for now. I want to welcome y'all. Got a little special episode planned up for you. I'm going to be joined by my brother here a little bit later, the one and only J-Rock, as I like to call him, as he'll be known to y'all. He was actually on the old show with us, special guesting a few times, and want to have him as more of a regular addition on this voyage. Of course, awesome third episode coming at you this week. So we're trucking right along, trying to keep this thing regular. Trying to keep it going, making some talk, making some cash for all you people. Well, not making any cash yet, but we're on the way to doing that, on the way to internet stardom, as a fella says, So got a huge show planned. We have a lot to talk about. My bro's going to join me, and we're going to hash out some news stories, of course, what's going on in that good old WWE wrestling world, because that's what most people want to hear. That's what most people follow, is the good old WWE. So that's been really what I've stuck with these last few shows. Of course, not a too eventful week, but definitely some things going on. Raw was pretty interesting. We'll go over that, as well as some other things, of course. The huge news, probably the most taboo thing to come out of last week was definitely, I don't even know if I can say these words on the radio without getting some kind of fine, but the two very controversial words in the news of wrestling this week, of course, that being Hulk Hogan. I have a lot to say about that. I'm sure J-Rock as well has quite a bit to say about it. So we'll get into that a little later. Our thoughts on what's going on and what this means and everything in between. A lot of great things on the horizon for the show today. And before we break into all that, though, I do want to cover some things that maybe necessarily aren't, WWE topics and things like that. Like I said, the brunt of this is going to be WWE coverage. But while I have a minute here, before we bring J-Rock onto the line, just want to hit some little interesting news stories throughout the week, stuff I don't want to really delve too much into, but just mention, so I bring you people up to speed on it. There's some interesting little tidbits. Looks like the sister of Bray Wyatt getting a WWE tryout. Of course, this is a WWE story, but just kind of looking through here. So that's interesting. If I can pull up her name here, Samantha Rotunda. and she looks just like the rest of them. That's kind of creepy, to be honest with you. Anyway, good luck to her. So hit that real quick. Let's see here. Former UFC champ says he's interested in wrestling in WWE. Let's see who this is. Josh Barnett. I have no idea who that is. No disrespect to all the MMA fans out there, but I'll throw that out there. Also, looks like Layla's retiring. Layla's retiring. That's pretty much all I got to say about that. Nice having you. See you on the next go around. Not really much to say there. And of course, there was some, some other developments, of course, in things like Ring of Honor. Roderick Strong apparently gets signed to a deal there long term, which is good. Give them some stability there. A lot of title changes going on the Impact tapings recently. Don't want to break in too much of that, but if you're a TNA fan, definitely be on the lookout for that, because there's some interesting stuff going on there. And that's about it. Like I said, kind of a slow news week. Another thing, just kind of an omission I want to make. It looks like Sting won't be appearing at SummerSlam. I think I had mentioned on last week's episode or the week before that all the talk is that he was going to be brought into this Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt storyline. And apparently that's not the case. So just wanted to make that quick omission right there and say I was wrong. I'm going to try to make a habit of doing that on the show, calling myself out and letting everyone know how stupid I was to jump to conclusions. But that's what we do. We scroll through these news sites, pick these articles, and see what's going on. That way you don't have to, because there's a lot of BS to sift through, of course. But a lot of huge topics. I want to get straight to the meat of this show and get our guest on here, my bro, my flesh and blood, the one and only J-Rock. We'll be back with him here very shortly. You're listening to NGNWR, No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling Radio. Here's a jam in the meantime.
Questioning my every move.
All right, rolling back on into the show here. The brand, NGNWR, no gimmicks needed wrestling radio. Gonna be joined by my bro here, my Broham, J-Rock. Welcome to the show, man. What's up?
Hey, man, great to be back. It's been quite a long time. I'd say, wow, we're talking 2009-ish.
It has been a long time.
It was the last time we teamed up on something like this. So,
right, back in the Wrestle Radio Rock days, like I touched on earlier, you know, definitely spent some great time doing that show. And that's part of the reason why I'm back here bringing this to y'all. And so, yeah, here we go. You know, we got some stuff to talk about. You know, I guess we'll kind of, you know, we got to go with the top story first, right? And, of course, that would have to be what's all over the dang internet and, you know, other news media as well. This whole controversy surrounding, you know, everybody's hero at some point, you know, the one and only Hulk Hogan. And, you know, this whole thing, I have a lot of thoughts on it, of course. But it's like, where to begin? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's really hard to really put into words how this is all going down. You know, a lot of people don't really know what to comment. Of course, yeah, the main thing jumping out is that, you know, obviously it was inappropriate, you know.
Sure.
But, and that's the thing, you know, it was inappropriate. But at the same time, the main thing that I'm going to argue here before I delve into just how idiotic the whole thing has become, especially with his responses to it, you know, because that's a whole nother thing. My initial reaction, you know, it's a private conversation, right? You know,
sure.
And you know, people are going to make the argument that it's, you know, because you're in the public limelight, you know, you don't really have a right to have any, you know, anything private. So that was kind of my initial reaction to hearing about it. I mean, J-Rock, how did you find out, and what were your initial thoughts?
Found out scrolling on Facebook, and of course had to, once I saw it, was shocked. Had to research it. And took me a little while to actually find any kind of clip that they were referencing. I finally got to listen to it, and honestly, what I heard at the time, and of course, speaking to you earlier, you said you had definitely more that I would like to hear, just so I could kind of, you know, base my opinion on it. But what the biggest thing to me was how tame it was. The timing of it, also. I mean, this is probably, for something like this to come out, it's like worse timing than, you know, Ultimate Warrior with the flash paper. I mean, this is like
right.
With the most current climate that we have, with what happened in the Carolina and everything. My biggest question inside, aside from my own personal feelings about anything to do with racism, is exactly what this would have meant even a year ago, 3 years ago. Of course, as a culture, we seem to change and evolve, and even our thoughts, and you know, life's a learning experience. You know, when to put a setting or some kind of scope on exactly what he said. You know, when were they said? Was it, you know, a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago?
Well, the story is, you know, apparently this was, you know, during a conversation that he had about 8 years ago or so. It was back in 2008, I do believe. So 7-8 years ago. so semi-recent, but the context of which they were said, they were actually made to. Her name escapes me at the moment, but Bubba the Love Sponge's wife or ex-wife, the one that he's got this sex tape out
Sure.
with, and just the context of the whole thing. It's really really strange how it's all coming about. Like you said, some people may view it as tamer than others. The fact of the matter is there was a couple expletives, or racial slurs or however you want to put it, made by him. There I go with the nose. But anywho,
We need a zapper.
right? Just shock me or something every time I say it.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I work on. If I owed everybody like something like some money every time I said those two words, maybe that would work.
We need to get some kind of sample. Maybe Ole Anderson's voice every time that happens. As the shock master. I don't know.
Yeah. So, there I go again.
Oh.
But getting back to the matter at hand, of course, Hulk Hogan makes these comments in whatever context they were in. Of course, he made them, and now it's out. And from there, of course, just a whole massive storm of things happen. It's almost hard to catch up, really, because it happened almost a week ago, right after I wrapped the last episode. This happened, and the story started developing. The first thing that happened was they pulled his everything off the website of his. WWE did, and that was the thing. It started just like the internet just kind of started breaking at that point with things. WWE was pulling things. There was just these rumors that this tape was going to come out within the next 24 hours, and it was just like this really weird just to see it transpire, watching the news sites over a couple days time. And then of course the tape came out, and there were a couple of things on there. Of course, he dropped the N-word a couple of times. There was even more fallout through the media and everything. More of the tape came out later on. Now they're digging out a tape that's him and his son Nick, from when Nick was in prison. More of that kind of stuff. He got in trouble for that, years ago. If you remember right, the tape came out of him and Nick talking about them getting a reality show after he got out of jail and all this. You know what I mean? So I don't know what to think past that. I am angered to a point, because I think that someone's rights were violated and his whole life is ruined now because of it. That one side of me says that, but then the other side is just like, it doesn't want to make me feel bad for Hulk Hogan with all these decisions he's made. Do you know what I mean?
I absolutely do. And when do we decide that even a public apology, something like that? I think I was really upset with the fact that they just erased him. Like I think the common term or phrase is that they pulled a Benoit or something like that, however they say that.
Right. They definitely, like, the terminology that's being thrown around right now is that he's getting the Benoit treatment.
There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Just erased from history.
Exactly. And man, what other than arguably Austin, the one of two guys that is like the cornerstone of what some people now call sports entertainment. I'm still one of those pro wrestling guys, but to just completely erase him from everything like he didn't exist, I personally feel a 100% mistake. Let the public decide and judge for themselves. If they don't want to watch content with Hulk Hogan now, that's up to them. I understand that WWE, of course, being a publicly traded company now, does have to toe the line a little more than say they did back in the early 90s or 80s or even further. But as a fan, super upset. Not that Hulk Hogan was my favorite wrestler by any means, but as far as being charismatic and being, the uh, face of a generation, the face of an industry for that matter. It does sadden me a little bit. I really wish. I almost feel bad because I wasn't as prepared as I should have been. Really would have liked to maybe hear some of those other recordings. So my perspective isn't as up to date as I'd like it to be. But
Well, that's the thing, and one thing I take really hard out of what you mentioned is uh, just a hero to so many kids of a certain generation. Uh, I was a Hulkamaniac to a point. For for some reason, I remember, in our household, we did watch, WWE or WWF, at the time, but it seemed like like everyone was a lot more into what the NWA was doing or WCW.
sure.
Eventually what it turned into, but that I didn't really have a favorite WWE wrestler. I mean, I guess I just liked Hogan just because I was a little kid, and that was just like the automatic thing to do was like Hogan.
Right.
But my guy, I was more of a, as a little kid, of course, I was really into Sting. I would say he was, he stood out to me uh, more as a kid than jacked up Hulk Hogan did.
Our household was definitely pro NWA. I think might have been our Southern blood or whatever.
Right.
It was. I think we both enjoyed all wrestling growing up. Lucky enough to catch the stuff from Minnesota. Even myself, I'm not sure. I don't really think so much you. I think it had kind of the territories were already kind of going by the wayside in your memory, but even close to home, Portland wrestling. That's the wrestling that I fell in love with. That's where I first saw Roddy Piper. That's where I first saw Andre the Giant. Where I first saw Ric Flair. But we got that USA Network, and we would faithfully watch when it was on. The WWF, WWE, out of New York. Hogan was the face of the company. He was also on the Saturday morning cartoons back when I was a kid. It's just one of those things that, yeah, I can't imagine there being a WWE without a mention of Hulk Hogan. It's something I maybe at some point I'll be able to wrap my brain around it, but right now, it's kind of a bitter pill at the moment.
And yeah, and that's the whole thing. I think that it's definitely odd, and I don't think that it was appropriate for them to do. However, I don't think it's going to be a permanent thing. I think that it's as far as that goes, the erasing him from history thing, it would be kind of a passing storm, hopefully. But it's just all unnecessary, and like you said, there's a million ways we can delve into that. Of course, the what are we really being distracted from question always comes into play there. You know what I mean? Not to go on that whole spin, but but this is a huge story. And the thing that disappoints me, though, just kind of, to put this all together, regardless of what my views are of how it all happened and what all happened, I think beyond all of this, I don't think he's handled it the best way. That's another thing going into like the decisions, that he's made in the past and is making now. He did release an apology of some sorts, I think, like on Twitter, but it was really odd. It doesn't really seem like judging by some of the things that he's tweeted and so forth, that he's really owning up to it that much.
And as a brand, I mean, no pun intended, but as a Hulk Hogan, the brand, there, I think for him, just aside from everything else, which of course is a very minute piece of it, but the business of Hulk Hogan, just for those reasons alone, hard for me to put myself in his shoes, but I'd be shouting apologies from the mountaintops at this point, trying to save, my career, my legacy. So that's definitely a part of it as well. That's a really good point. That the reaction to me is not really what I expected.
I don't know how much of it's being reported in the mainstream media. I know the initial story broke out on like TMZ and stuff like that. It was a semi big deal. But the wrestling media on the internet and everything has just been a complete just crap storm. All kinds of things coming out each and every day about it. So many little tidbits.
You gave up, didn't you?
I'm tired. I've just accepted that it's part of my speech, and people either have to like it or not.
They don't have to tune in. Period.
Right. That's got to be part of it. I'll try to work on it, but I've accepted that it's just going to happen.
Until a sponsor shows up with a few $1,000s and says, hey, we don't say anymore. It's offending people. I shouldn't have said that.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So, regardless of how it all pans out, it's definitely just there's so many things coming out, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon, unfortunately, for Hulk Hogan.
So here's a question for you. I think it may not have been today. It may have been a different time, but you were saying that one of the sound bites was him talking about his daughter.
Well, that was you're right. That was the initial thing that came out was the conversation that I was referring to earlier. In that conversation, yeah, he had mentioned something about his daughter dating this guy who was of who's ethnic
Persuasion.
of that persuasion, and from there I believe he went on to call the guy himself the N word, just kind of in passing, and then after that he said made some comments along the lines of how everyone's racist to a point, and then he did drop another N-bomb somewhere along there. So yeah, that was the context of the conversation, and so yeah,
and not to give any kind of excuses, but and I don't know his exact age. There is a generational thing here where, like I was talking about earlier, some of these things would have not really caught any kind of attention, in our just a little ways back, but the climate is so much different now to where, man, you really gotta watch what you say, and as far as offending certain people. And I'm certainly not trying to make any excuses for the guy, but it's definitely it's that part of generation just hasn't really caught up with the rest of us as far as this kind of new age way of thinking, unfortunately.
So And in retrospect, we learn that Hulk Hogan is screwed. For lack of a better term, that's really what's going down with him. J Rock, I want to cover some other things with you. I think we're gonna go over Raw a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit about Click Week on the WWE Network, and some other little interesting things here whenever we come back. You're listening to NGNWR, No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling Radio, and we'll be right back at you. All right, welcome back. I don't know what happened to the track, but we're back ready, rocking and roaring, ready to go on this episode of NGNWR. Your excellent host, The Brand here, joined by my own flesh and blood, the one and only J Rock. We talked all about the Hulk Hogan controversy, of course, earlier in the show. But there was other things going on in the world of wrestling, of course, especially in the world of WWE. Of course, Raw is usually the biggest deal of the week as far as television goes. You can literally miss any other show during the week and really not miss much. But if you're going to follow what's going on at all, you definitely need to be watching Raw. to see what's going on there. So me and him are going to go ahead and recap that all up for you. Of course, Triple H opens the show. He announces that SummerSlam's going to go 4 hours this year. So, which I think is a cool move, kind of trying to make it even more like, the second biggest event of the year, like it's supposed to be, like WrestleMania. So.
Right, and we'll see how that goes. They definitely, have plenty of content to fill up a 4-hour show. I almost said pay-per-view, and they might even see some longer matches, some longer stories being told, and some of these marriages. So.
And they pretty much did a pretty good job of laying out how the whole show would go. They made pretty much all the matches that were going to be during the night. Big Show and Ambrose, Paige and Sasha, Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, which we'll get to a little bit later. Also, they laid out Alicia Fox and Nikki tagging up against Becky Lynch and Charlotte. So Rollins is actually out there with him. He takes the mic and starts doing his thing, and of course, cutting his promo on that. And of course, he's interrupted by Cena. We saw a little teaser of this the week before where Cena came out and they did a promo on each other, and Cena challenges him for the WWE title, and Triple H decides that that's not going to happen. But, long story short, they end up making it, still making the match with Cena and Rollins, but making it for Cena's U.S. title, which, right off the bat, was really not a fan of doing this, especially if this is going to be potentially the SummerSlam main event. Here in a few weeks, you're giving it away on Raw, weeks earlier. So I was a little taken aback by it.
I enjoyed just the angle. I think that Stephanie right now is, as far as the psychology of a heel. Of course, we saw at WrestleMania as well. I can't remember who said it first, but what a heel, what a babyface does is it gives the fans what they want to see. It might have even been your guest last week that said that. I remember where I said it, so I wish I could give favor to the quote. But what it basically is, the babyface gives the fans what they want to see or want to hear. And the heel, it's their job to take it away. And I think Stephanie did that. She, to me, is, as far as the psychology of a heel, really has had it down in the last year. But I definitely did enjoy the segment, and it definitely flowed great. Of course, with Rollins, a very, he's got the whole smarmy heel down to a T. Cena came out to a pretty, it wasn't as much of a polarizing pop as I'm used to. There were a lot more cheers, I thought. Might have just been the TV I was watching it on, but it sounded like, he's coming out to a few more cheers. I am glad that he still has that U.S. title on him. I think that's given more prevalence to that title.
Oh, absolutely. And as far as his reaction goes, that definitely can vary from city to city or just crowd to crowd. It really seems like, and even angle to angle. I think Rollins has done a good job of being the heel and people not wanting him to be champion anymore in one way or another. So I think they're even welcoming the idea of Cena taking the title off of him. But they go in, they make the match for later. They roll into the first match, which is Big Show Ambrose. Big Show wins by countout. So it looks like maybe potentially they're going to be working together for the next few weeks. Then they did Fandango and Neville. Pretty basic match where Neville picks up the win there. Then we have after the match, Stardust comes on to the Titantron there and cuts a promo. Made reference to actor Stephen Arnell, which I don't really know the whole story on that, but apparently they're doing potentially something at SummerSlam or some kind of thing there with him and Stardust. And so it was a decent, little promo there, I thought. Then we went into some Divas action. Paige and Sasha, put together a pretty decent match. From there, I definitely enjoyed that one. It was good for what it was. Sasha ends up with the big win. Another huge win for her. And from there, we went to let's see here, a lot of filler. It looks like from there. And then we went into this Rusev segment, which I don't even want to spend a whole lot of time on this soap opera-ish stuff. I really like to kind of stay away from. Of course, the whole thing going on, him and Summer Rae against Lana and Ziggler. Of course, Ziggler is, taking a little time off, currently, so he's off TV. So they got to try to find a way to keep this angle going while he's off, and, it's probably more than likely leading to like a SummerSlam match. It looks like finally that happening.
This definitely has a lot more legs than I expected. Once again, no pun intended, but I'm guessing it's because Ziggler's off TV that they are trying to they're trying to build Rusev. They have been for a while, and I think he potentially will be eventually a pretty big heel for them. So to keep him in some kind of program to where it's still featured, on the big shows, and they just, I don't know if it's something that they don't have other plans for him right now. Of course, being so close to SummerSlam, we'll just have to see how that one pans out.
The next segment was, we have the directionless tag team division. Lucha Dragons take on Los Matadores. Of course, both talented teams. I like the work of both teams, actually. But for some reason, neither team is really getting over. They involve the primetime players at the end of the match, confronting the Lucha Dragons, who actually went over. So, looks like potentially, they're, the Lucha Dragons are going to be the next team that challenges primetime, which this tag team division just makes no sense to me. The New Day should still have the titles, and they should be defending the titles against all these face teams, that they have, like the Lucha Dragons. Now they have these two basically face teams going after each other. I just don't get it.
I 100% agree. I was glad to see, the interruption with the New Day. What the tag team division right now almost reminds me of is almost what the Divas division has been up until just recently, which I think, the Divas division is really kind of kicking ass right now. With
absolutely
all the new players, but that's kind of what the whole tag team division reminds me of. It's just a cluster, right now. Honestly, I think, with Cesaro and that whole tag team when that kind of fell through. I think right now they're just kind of trying to get their bearings as far as what they want to do with that division.
Right, yeah, it's very confusing. You know, there's good teams, but it's not captivating anybody. You know, someone needs to come out and actually give these guys some stories, actually give them something decent to do. So, you know, I don't want to waste too much time on that, of course. Uh, uh, the next part of the show, next thing we'll get to, was one of my favorite segments. Bray Wyatt comes out with Luke Harper. It was a recommitment ceremony or something like that to the Wyatt family for Luke Harper. And Bray just, cuts an amazing promo like he does usually. Sometimes it's really just kind of pointless and, you know what I mean, just like weird for the sake of being weird. But when he actually has something to talk about and there's actually some kind of a rite of passage to what he's talking about in his promo, that's when he's at his best, I think. And having this promo, reintroducing Luke Harper back into the fold or what have you, I thought was really really good. Actually, one of his better works. Did you get a chance to catch?
I totally did. Bray has become kind of a highlight for me when he comes on. I totally love his promos. I think he's going to end up, being when it's all said and done, one of the best. It's just super smart as far as getting his point across. The creepiness is just at the right level. Even more, I would think, and don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Taker mark too, but I think what he's doing is what Taker, I think it in his career kind of wanted to be. But Bray just has a way of really, as far as I'm concerned, really connecting with me as far as his promos, and I always enjoy just listening to him talk. So.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I enjoy his work for the most part, but sometimes for me it's a little much. But this one was great, and it further continues. They didn't really get so much into to the whole Roman Reigns and how that's all going on. I don't even think Roman was on the show from what I remember. I'll have to keep going through it here just to kind of jog my memory. But I thought it was a great promo. Next, they went to another Divas match. It was Charlotte and Becky Lynch taking on Nikki and Alicia. Apparently, Alicia got a concussion in this match. I didn't catch it, so I don't really want to comment too much about quality or anything like that. Apparently, Becky Lynch and Charlotte got the win. So they're putting these new divas over. All three of them, end up going over on Raw. So take that for what it is, of course. And actually, a little side note, since Alicia Fox ended up with this concussion, there are rumors that someone else will be joining Team Bella now. For all you that follow the Divas division, it'll be interesting to see who that ends up being.
Totally. And I think it's just, don't get me wrong, I don't want to, but it's just so surprising to me just how interested I am in this division now. And it's really, caught my attention. I can't wait to see exactly who they're going to replace her with.
Right, yeah, and there's a lot of things going on, very exciting as far as that goes, and we'll have to see what happens as that develops. And now, this Raw, actually, when you really look at it, pretty stacked. Of course, the Cena Rollins match coming up, as the main event. But at this point in the show, you had what, could definitely be a main event all on its own, on any given night, on Raw or a pay-per-view. They put Kevin Owens and Randy Orton together in a match, which was great for what it was. Kind of short, Orton ends up winning by DQ because, of course, Sheamus was involved. So it'll be interesting to see where this all goes, of course. And then Cesaro comes out to even things up, apparently. So maybe a tag match.
Yeah, I think Sheamus and Cesaro. That's, to me, it's almost like a natural fit as far as potential program. I'm definitely interested to see how that ends up going. Hopefully they go that route with that situation.
It's good to see Cesaro doing something, for a while after Tyson got hurt. He wasn't doing anything at all, and but now they've worked him back into the fold. So it's good to see him mixing it up. Of course, he had the matches with Cena and everything else. So now they do the main event. Of course, Seth Rollins taking on Cena for the U.S. title. This was great. I really thought they were going to go the cheap route on this one. It was still pretty short as far as TV time goes. Of course, there's a commercial break right in the middle of it. But still a pretty decently a timed match, and really good for a TV match. Of course, like I said, a little on the short side, but Cena ends up retaining. And were you able to catch this one at all?
I did. I did enjoy the match. I thought it was, once again, that was what we set up for it in the first segment there, and yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. And Cena ended up having an injury, a broken nose.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Errant. I believe it was like a knee that Rollins came and did, a running knee to the face. Ended up breaking Cena's nose. They ended up going through, at least a couple more minutes in the match, so Cena toughed it out.
Now, I did hear some speculation online that this was a work, that actually they had done, a super good makeup job on Cena's nose. I, of course, don't buy that. I think it was a legitimate, nose break. Did you have any thoughts about that? Did you even hear that rumor?
I never even came across that, and I'm glad that I didn't, because even if it's like, I don't even want to go there. You know what I mean? I want to be able to kayfabe at some point in time, and it's still real to me. Damn it, as a guy once said, wise man once said, wise wrestling fan. But regardless, it looked pretty brutal to me. It looked like it was legit. It's something that, if you just look at the way it went down, it's like, it's kind of, you don't just feign injuries like that in the ring, especially the way the match ended. I did think it ended, possibly a few minutes early. So I don't think that at all. I think that was legit, as legit can be. And it'll be interesting to see, if the program keeps going from here. I mentioned earlier that I didn't like that they were having this match on Raw already. But in a way, if they're not going to drag their program out for months, it kind of makes sense, to have that first meeting on TV. That way, the second one, will probably be at SummerSlam, and then, of course, potentially have the rubber match sometime after that. Maybe wraps up the feud a little quicker. I don't know if that's where they're going. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll just have to see kind of where that ends up going.
But all in all, I'd say a pretty decent episode of Raw, keeping rolling in. To SummerSlam, of course, a few weeks away. Didn't see anything, as far as to really take away from it. So it was a good episode, all in all. We'll leave it at that. We're running out of time here already. It sucks.
Right. Did you? I don't know if you even follow this or not. I know that I'm hoping that the Cena Rollins match maybe gave the ratings a little bit of a push. I think maybe that might have been some kind of motivation. I have heard that the ratings were sliding just a tad. Did you have any thoughts about that?
I wasn't able to look at the ratings. To be honest with you, half of the time I don't really follow what the ratings are doing. A lot of the time what they're reporting on the sites now is just viewership, which it really confuses me. It's just like they just report like, okay, it was in like 3 million homes or 4 million or 2.3 million homes or
right.
whatever.
Not to quote Wes Mantooth or anything, but I don't know if they take into consideration, houses with more than one television and in them.
I don't think they do.
Right. Yeah. All I know is that Dorothy Mantooth was a saint, and that's all I'm going to say.
Scotch. But yeah, no. Just in closing here, we'll just kind of throw this out there for all you network subscribers. Of course, you already know and you're already watching it. It's Click Week. I'm of course, that's one of my wrestling guilty pleasures is a click mark. It comes from being a Shawn Michaels fan. Even before that, and that's the thing, regardless of what their influence was and what people think of them, good or bad, they all had a great place, in a lot of people's hearts at one point in time. You have any memories on the Click?
One question I would ask those people, maybe some of the naysayers, did they entertain you? There's no doubt that at some point a member of the Click, had to mark out for one of those guys. I huge fan of all those guys. Every shoot interview they do, I try to catch. They've got the best stories, and the real meat of my viewership. They were definitely a huge part of. They were on top during those years, and some of my best memories is watching matches of those guys with you. So.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of my, all-time favorite moments, was when Shawn Michaels, finally won the WWF championship. I was about 12 years old. And many other times too. That was when that was at the age where I did start watching a lot more of WWE because, of course, WCW was starting to get on the cheesy side with Hogan way past his prime.
Yeah, this was during the Yeti and some of their some of their not so great decisions booking wise. They had kind of the revolving door going on. There was a lot of real cheesy characters over on WCW, which was pretty heartbreaking. Growing up and being so entertained by them, and while we're on the subject, who turned that around? Who made it cool?
Right, absolutely. And definitely check out all the stuff. See, if you don't know anything about Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, Diesel, of course some of these guys are the same people. But, the Click, X-Pac, Six, 1, 2, 3 Kid, whatever you want to call them. These guys are influential. The Click Rules DVD's coming out. That's the whole point of the whole thing. That's why we're doing it. And that's what it's all about. Definitely check out all that stuff. Got some great airings of all those things going on. J-Rock, been an awesome Pleasure having you on the show this week. Definitely want to have you back so we can talk some more stuff. You know what I mean?
I had a whole lot of fun, Brand. Thanks so much for having me, and I can't wait to do it again.
All right, we're on out of here. Want to thank you for tuning in, joining us here, tuning in. No gimmicks needed. Wrestling Radio. We're live on the air here, and we're getting ready. We're wrapping her up. We'll see you next week with some more stuff, and catch you next time.